welcome back to Andertons. And look, it's Mr. Lee.
Hi.
So you've got double Lee today to talk to you.
Like the two Ronnies that were still alive.
I think isn't one
Is
of them
Ronnie
still?
cool but still alive? Ooh,
There you go.
Maybe, yeah.
This will be one of those
I'll
awful
talk
things
to the
where
producers.
He is now, but before the video comes out, it'll be on the day the video comes out, it'll be terrible news and it'll be very bad taste, this video. So yes, it's 2024. And bizarrely now, we must have done this about 6 or 7 years in a row now.
Must be, yeah.
Lee is here to tell us what's new for 2024 from the Ibanez electric guitar range. So not semi-solids, bass guitars, acoustic guitars, that's another day. This is just your solid electric guitars. So did you have a nice Christmas?
I had a lovely Christmas.
Excellent.
Yeah. Bit of an illness over New Year, but that's how it goes, isn't it? You have a bit of a break and you power down.
Was that too much cheese and
if only.
wine?
If only. I think that's what cured me.
So look, okay, Lee has brought down a selection of guitars which we have loosely split into RG style guitars.
We've got AZ.
AZ over here, or mostly AZ over here. A couple of S's.
Yeah.
Some GIOs, and I think
And then you've got, actually there's an S hiding
another
here,
S
AZ.
over there, isn't it?
A couple of more of the
Yeah,
Ibanez.
so there's 4 basic vibes of guitars.
Yeah.
I've got my special...
You got the full details.
Yes, I do. Let's start with the RG470DX, which is...
Okay, these are these two new models.
So that's the... If you hold the green one up as well.
And this one
people-
over here, this is the Seafoam Green.
I do believe that is a great name. So you've got Tokyo Midnight. Have you ever been out at midnight in Tokyo?
Do you know, it's a place that I've never been to. It's on my list. Yeah, I've been to lots of places. Fortunate enough to do that.
So it's an RG470DX. So DX normally means you don't get the scratch plate, but it is your HSH kind of configuration.
Yeah. What you've got with these in terms of HSH, in terms of the appointments, you've got a low pro trem, you've got a Wizard 3 neck, you've got the Ibanez Quantum pickups that were seen in the headless guitars, the Q range, if you've seen those.
Yeah.
So they've crept into the RGs. They're really quite cool. And they're just a standard rock and metal machine.
Where does Wizard 3 fit in the sort of Ibanez? Is it like the thinnest, or what's its...
If you have they've been thinner. When you get a hold of the S series, probably they've had the most thinnest necks ever made on an Ibanez. So they're kind of standard.
Give us, I mean, I know we heard you jamming at the beginning, but let's just have a slightly more, let's go through the sort of the 5 different positions.
5 pickups.
I don't know that have Quantum been on an RG before, or have they only ever
No, it went from Q series into this.
Cool. Yeah, so we've got, I love some very exotic woods here. We've got Meranti body and Jatoba fretboards, and
they're pretty standard now, Jatoba fretboards. We see them quite a lot.
Yeah, but great new colours, and these are under £500, aren't they?
Yeah,
these? So ridiculously affordable for what you get. So let's have a little listen to some tones.
Yes, okay. We'll start. I mean, I'm going through Pete's rig, which is really cool.
Well, you're going through a hybrid rig. You're going through the amp that Rabir was using yesterday, but with Pete's pedal board.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So half and half. It's actually a neck. So it's really quite stratty on that position, isn't it?
Very position 4, yeah.
Middle. And then our good old standard.
Yeah. Cool. And with a bit of gain.
With a bit of gain.
I mean, that's ultimately where you
want
to go, isn't it?
We'll go with amp gain. What was the riff we were playing earlier? Something like... We'll start with the neck pick of them. Middle position. It's much more honky on that position, isn't it?
You're getting that classic Floyd Rose flutter when you're picking hard.
Hitting
as well.
harder, yeah. I'll give you a bit of that in a second. So we're getting the full whack of that.
I should say as well, of course, we call it a Floyd, or I call it a Floyd, but and I probably always have done with Ibanez, and I shouldn't. Presumably, if we go back far enough, Ibanez used Floyd Rose at some point or other.
Maybe. I think with once the Gem came out, that had its own version of a Floyd, which was the Edge, and that's had different iterations of the Low Pro Edge. There's the Edge series that's in this one, and then that obviously trickled down into the RGs because that was so that's where we are now.
So on the 470 DX, we've got an Edge Zero Mark II, which does have a sort of a lower profile. I mean, if we take these GIOs, these are a more conventional Floyd
they are
style,
actually closer to being like a Floyd.
and the micro tuners sit much prouder of the body than they do on the Edge. Models, don't they?
Yeah,
so it's a
and when you
design.
get the low pros, you have much of a push-pull fitting on them as opposed to...
Maybe I'm just haven't looked at an RG 470 for a long time. It does feel like a lot of guitar for... If you'd have said to me, like, how much do you think that is? I probably wouldn't have said under £500.
Yeah, precisely. But I think that's the one thing, and I'm sure a lot of brands do this as well, but what Ibanez are really good at is once they established a particular appointment on a guitar, one of the higher price, like a premium or prestige, over time they tend to trickle them down into the standard range as well.
I think I interrupted you as you were about to shred ludicrously on the bridge pickup and show us what the Trem did.
Yeah, so there's loads of things you can do with a Floyd. This is why they're so much fun. Floyd. I say it. It's just become
as
law, hasn't it?
Mr. Floyd Rose is just desperately phoning his lawyers.
So you can do that kind of warble effect, either going that way. Or going like that. If you're going this way, you're kind of getting those kind of grace notes that are bringing it up. So you raising the note, so you kind of get an ethnic vibe, an Eastern style vibe to it. Or you can do the old, Vi Satriani, the dive bombs. Or one of my favourites is the Satriani used to call it the lizard down the neck, lizard down the throat job, where you play a note, and as you move up the fretboard, you try and hold this in the same note.
Oh, okay.
And it gives you this weird garb. See if I can do it. And those kind of effects are all over Surfing with the Alien and those.
Always freaks me out when you see... I mean, this was a Steve Vai thing that he probably started doing more recently than necessarily right back, but where he'll just hold the guitar by the trem arm and get,
so he might hit do all that kind of stuff. With a volume pedal, you get...
Honestly, well, look, we'll move on, because otherwise we'll be on, we'll take all day to go through the guitars. But that's the RG470. That is amazing. Tokyo, what's it called? Tokyo Midnight. That is one of my favourite colours and really works with the white pickups.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's one of those ones that it'd be very difficult to see on camera as well, how nice it is.
Well, let's hope not.
Sorry. No pressure, Taylor.
Okay, so that's essentially that and the green one are the same guitar.
Yeah.
What's the next one up in the new released RG models?
So you're holding one of the premiums.
Let me give that to you.
Let's have a little switcheroo.
This being standard, premium sort of noting that it's the next level of sort of features up.
Yeah.
So we've got here an RGT, because it's hardtail, 1221 PB. Carrying on the tradition of brilliant model names at Ibanez. Give us give us the features here.
Features, monorail bridge, obviously in this case.
That's a proprietary thing for Ibanez as well. So that's giving you sort of like a slightly longer scale length, then is it, or a bit more tension on the bass strings?
Yeah, and that's because people will use heavier strings. They will down tune these types of guitars, and you see that on a lot of custom made guitars as well, don't you? Custom brands. This one has that classic pairing of DiMarzio, Air Norton, and Tone Zone.
Lovely.
So super typical classic Ibanez fodder. MGT locking tuners.
Let's admire its rear for a bit.
Yeah, through body, through neck.
7 piece.
7 pieces. And there's a purple heart. It looks like a purple heart.
This says here, Wizard 3, 7 piece maple walnut neck through with a poplar burl top on a basswood body. Yeah. With an ebony fretboard. Crikey! There's an entire jungle of timbers used here.
So we've got a five-way selector, and one of the things we were talking about, you know, certain ranges when they're successful and there's an appointment people enjoy, they will spread them across the ranges, or it will trickle down into different things. So the RG is no different in as much as the AZ or AZ range, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on, has the dynamic switch.
Yeah.
So they've ended up inside the RGs this time round.
So that's essentially just 2 modes that the 5-way blade works in. So 10 different configurations of those 2 pickups.
So you'd have,
which is mad.
Yeah, it is. Some of them are more subtle than others, but sometimes they're power tapping, sometimes they're coil tap.
Yeah,
but
I thought what was interesting again is you know, traditionally when you have 2 pickups spaced apart, you know, those sort of position 2 and 4 settings are, we call them out of phase settings, don't we? So as well. But again, the dynamics thing plays around with that. So sometimes they'll run them in series rather than in parallel, so that you get more of a fatter combination of the 2 rather than the. Do you know what?
Absolutely.
Let's just hear it.
So that is the humbucker as per.
Yeah.
If I switch this, then
you're in your dynamics mode.
I'm in the dynamics mode. So it's really honky at that point, isn't it? So that's with the dynamics mode engaged, and I'll run back the opposite way then.
Yeah. For me, every time I see a hardtail Ibanez, I think it's going to appeal to someone that's going to want to drop tune, some fatter strings on it, and play some proper riffs. So do you want to? Let's just drop D.
Yeah.
The only other couple of features that we didn't mention here was you've got Goto locking tuners, and because it's premium, you get a gig bag included with that as well.
Yeah.
But yes, let's have a little listen. That's great. Cool, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, fun.
All right, so bit of a jump up in price up to the RGT 1221BB, 1300-ish for that. So links below if you want to go find out exactly pricing and more. But it does come with a gig bag and
lumen lay. Did we say there's lumen lay dot inlays as well?
Well, we have now.
Well, yes.
All right, look, you got there's a good half a dozen RG models that are new, so we haven't got all of those today, so you'll have to whiz over to the Andertons website. But there's one more, which looks rather purdy.
Let me switch it out.
I'm guessing from its model numbering, it's not a dissimilar price. to the red one, right?
1400, that one.
Did you hear that? The voice from the back of the room. 1400. So yeah, similar kind of. I guess from a build quality, it's much the same kind of vibe as the red one. Just got.
It is. It's got this nice matte finish to it. Poplar burl, I think that looks like. You've got your HSH configuration, no Dynamics 10.
Okay.
And obviously you've got your Low Pro, I think. Which is
this says it's just an edge.
Oh, it's an edge.
It says it's an edge trem.
Doing that.
And then you've got your Air Norton,
Yeah.
True Velvet, and Tone Zone
Which is your
combination.
classic
But yes,
combination.
other than that, it's the same kind of woods and stuff, and same construction sort of methods as the one we had before.
Yeah.
It looks great. I like the matte finish.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's quite a popular one. They did one with a didn't have this kind of blue stain to it. It was more of a natural vibe as well. That's always been very popular.
Cool.
But yeah, popular.
I mean, obviously, tone-wise, let's just have a quick run through maybe of
Yeah.
some of the tones, but it's not going to be a million miles off the red one.
The
I'm
ones we
guessing.
were doing before.
It shouldn't be underestimated, actually, just how much a Floyd trem changes the tone over a fixed bridge. I think you can hear in between
Changes
those two
the
demos.
sustain as well.
Yeah, it's a sort of a sustain and a fatness, I think, that you get a little bit more of when you have the hard tail versus the Low Pro or the
It's definitely
the Edge
something
style trem.
to comment on,
Yeah.
whether or not that stuff makes a difference.
Yeah. So there are a few more RG models that have been released that we don't have here. So we'll put links below to where you can find out more about those. But, again, we've got Prestige 7 strings. We've got some more RG of the 400 series. There's a very cool, it says it's a new model, but I'm sure I've seen this before, but like an all-white, white guard, white RG 450. We've got 420s, 421s, so again, they're sort of slightly more affordable. There's a new 7 and 8 string, RG8 EX. So actually quite a lot in the 400 series, which will be a bit more affordable.
Yeah.
But yes, go check those out. Shall we move on to S series
Let's
now,
do
seeing as that's
S's.
what's next on your list?
Let's do.
Now, I've not played an S-Series guitar.
Okay.
I feel like S-Series was a massive thing for Ibanez. Like, I can remember it was like you either had the choice of RG or S.
S, yeah.
And then loads of other sort of models started to come in. And although RG still felt it retained its position, it sort of feels like S. I don't really. Didn't Frank Gambale play like an S style for a while?
And these were the pinnacle, really, of their engineering prowess.
Wow.
When they first came out, because S stands for saber,
Right.
And they wanted to make something that felt like perfectly balanced. That was, super, super thin. If you've ever tried one of these guitars, they're incredibly thin, but not, it doesn't feel flimsy in any way.
It's a beautiful
They're really
guitar.
beautiful.
In a way, I'm quite glad we're sort of revisiting, because I feel like it's almost, it feels it's been lost in the noise of all the other models that come out. So, okay.
They've moved into the premium and standard levels, and they've been sort of missing for a little while from the catalogue.
Has there not been a standard S for a while?
I don't think we've seen one for quite a while.
Interesting. Okay, so look, as Lee said, he's got the premium one, so the slightly more expensive one. I've got the standard one, although it's a very well-spec'd standard model.
Yeah.
We've still got all the Demarcios and stuff. So just, again, if we start with this guitar, I've got a Wizard 3 neck. There is definitely a difference because every guitar we've played so far has had a Wizard 3 neck on it, and yet the one with the through neck, and it's got a slightly different, more of like an oiled finish to it, does feel different, whereas this S series and the RG470 I think had that sort of slightly
it's a bit thicker, weren't they?
well, just like the satin finish gives it a slightly different feel. Anyway, we've got, pronunciation would be terrible here. Naya Toy, exactly what he said. Body. Rosewood board. We got the return of Rosewood. Hurrah!
Which is lovely, isn't it?
Then we've got jumbo frets. We've got an Air Norton in the neck. We've got a True Velvet in the middle and a Tone Zone.
Again, very much RG territory.
Edge 02 trem. It's probably my favourite of the trems that we've got here today. And yeah, because it's standard series, you need to buy a case or a bag as an optional extra. But this is going to set you back about £900. Before I give you some tones on this, the other new one that's from the S series is the 621 QM. That's the most affordable one, so that's down at sort of sub 600. Lots of similar features in terms of neck profile and stuff, but that's two humbuckers using the quantum pickups that were on the 470 and a hardtail. But again, much more affordable. Let's give you some tones from this. So for that opening jam, I was using that sort of position 4. And it's a lovely, not too thin, just a beautiful sound, really. Just what you want in those position 2 and 4 sounds. I felt somehow when you get those sort of dynamics options, quite often the extra 5 sounds that you get, you sort of go, there's a reason a 5-way blade was wired the way it did, because they're the best 5 sounds.
Totally.
And then the next 5 are a bit more niche and weird,
They give you options, but it depends what equipment you're running through, doesn't it? So if you were playing in a certain style. You know. So
no pushy-pulley things. So let's just start with the humbucker at the neck. This just sounds great. I've got my new favourite reverb pedal on, that one gear of the year 2023 for me. Anyway, that's the Polyverb reverb. Middle pickup. Bridge and middle. And bridge. If I put some gain on, nice and fat, I kind of feel like this would suit a shredder because it's so close to the body.
Totally.
The neck is, you know, again, I mentioned this right at the beginning of the video. It's been a long time since I played an Ibanez guitar with those ridiculously thin
flat
necks.
And thin.
You know, this feels very much like a 60s style Strat neck with a flatter fretboard. You know, it doesn't feel like holy moly. Maybe a little flatter across the back of the neck as well. So perhaps feeling like if you do want to play with your thumb behind, it's a bit more comfortable for that kind of vibe.
I think you start to feel it when you get down to the dusty end.
But that's a lot of guitar. I like that. I like the colour as well. It's got this interesting sort of splattered paint job, which from a distance almost gives you that burl effect. But actually when you see it, it's not. It's very much like a sort of like a crazy graphic that's on there. It's cool, man. Anywho, let's hear about this guitar.
First thing to mention, this time it's an 11-piece.
11. It's like Jules Holland's band, but in a guitar neck.
Well, the bass
Holy
players are like
moly.
11 foot tall.
Yes. Yeah, 11-piece. Oh, brilliant. Go on, I'll give you bonus points if you can tell me what the pieces of wood are.
Okay, Panga Panga is one of them.
Yeah.
Walnut.
So good. Panga Panga, so good they named it twice. What is that then? Is that like a sort of...
I honestly don't. It's one of those woods that I've known because of Ibanez and because it's been...
Right, okay. So
various, but it's not one I can
But you're right, walnut you can have a bonus point for.
Walnut, Purple Heart.
That's not on here, but you know, unless of course sometimes people call Babinga Purple Heart?
Oh, I don't know.
No?
But
Okay.
I'm going to say Babinga.
Well, yes, I've given that one away, haven't I? And your final wood in the neck is a very traditional neck
It's
wood.
got to be maple.
It is indeed, yes. And even the body is a multiply mix of poplar burl, walnut, curly maple, and some more panga panga.
Curly maple.
Yeah. So, and African mahogany. Holy moly. It's literally, it's that someone's gone down to the timber shop and gone, I'll have some of that and that and that. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, give me some of that as well. And walked out with a bootload. Got the same pickups that we've got on this model, your DiMarzio's.
Tone zone,
stainless
true
steel
velvet.
frets with now what's called the premium fret edge treatment. Edge 02 trem. You'll notice, obviously, it's a gloss finish, looks beautiful. Goto locking tuners. It's always been a thing for me with locking tuners on a guitar where you've got a locking nut seems a bit sort of, you know, why do you have those? Space just makes restringing it much faster, maybe.
Yeah, there is a bit of that, and it means that you don't have to have as many winds around, so you do stay in tune. If you decide to not,
Yeah, I think that's probably
that whole jam. I didn't have these locked off.
Yeah,
so.
do you know what? Interesting that I'm not a big fan of relying on these to tune. You know, I like to tune from up here. So actually, when I'm typically playing Floyd Rose guitars, I'll just leave these undone. So actually, the locking tuners probably do make sense there, don't they? You've got a gig bag with these, your loom inlays, and two colours. So as well as I think that grey is stunning. It's called Charcoal Blackburst, but there's an unpronounceable blue burst as well.
Cerulean.
Cerulean.
This is a really popular colour that I think it's been on an RG at some stage as well.
Okay, let's hear you doing some noodling on that. I know that the Nita Strauss model is S series, but there's something in the back of my head saying another artist more recently announced a signature guitar that was S series.
S series.
But
Kikos.
There's Kiko's an S. There we are.
oh, that's right. He's done because he traditionally had an RG, didn't he? But he's done an S more recently. And there you go. Look, maybe that's my 2024 prediction. Will be the year of the S series comeback.
The rise of the S.
That's the new Schwarzenegger film, isn't it? Before we go on to the GIOs next, which is next on the crib sheet, there are a couple of very cool Iceman guitars that have been announced for 2024. Love that shape. Is this Paul Stanley territory? Sort
Paul
of
Stanley.
Paul
Gilbert's got one as well. Yeah.
But yeah, they look very, very cool. They're both IC420s. Looks like it's the same guitar, one with a flame top and one without. I'm guessing if it's 400 series, these will be reasonably affordable, will they? £600.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I don't think you've ever had Iceman in that kind of price before, have you? No. There we are. That's fun. Okay, but we're talking of affordable. Let's do GIOs.
GIO. There's got to be enough there.
Oh my God! I've no idea. Is that? Some people think these videos are well scripted and rehearsed and everything like that, but as you can see from that jam, it is literally all made up on the spot. Okay, so GIO. Do you know what I've never asked you in all the years you've worked for Ibanez? Where does GIO? I mean, it's obviously like it sounds like an Italian. You know,
or you could spin it into.
Where does GIO come from?
I honestly don't know, and it's not a question I've ever asked either.
Well, we must at NAMM this year.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
It'll be someone in the Hoshino family has sort of worked out that they had like a great grandmother from Italy who was.
It could be
GIO de Campo. Anyway,
it's more likely to be Spanish. That being the case.
Yeah. Okay. So there's 3 new GIO models, or 2 new models. One of them in 2 colours. So the one I am holding is a GRG 320 FA, and you have got a stunning.
I've got a weapon.
Stealth black.
Yes.
I really like that.
It's still got Santa's wrapping on it, so.
So what's new about these then? Because obviously GIO has been part of the range for many years.
One of the, and we were talking about this earlier, we were saying that it's kind of, well, certainly I was saying that I think if you're new to guitar playing or you wanted to get into it, there's never been a better time as a consumer to purchase an affordable guitar that has appointments that you would think would be much higher up in the range. If I went back to my sort of 12, 13, 14-year-old self and thought I could get one of these guitars with a floating trem, I'm not going to say Floyd again because it slips out, with a floating trem on it and a reverse headstock, I think I would have lost my mind, lost my tiny mind. So the thing that's new about this stuff is that they've now got some of those appointments that you would see on higher level guitars, and the stuff that you would have to spend a little bit more of your hard-earned cash on, creeping into some of the most affordable range that Ibanez do.
Yeah. There's a wicked, okay, so spec is a GRG maple neck. To put that into context, this is definitely a little fatter than the Wizard 3 necks that were on those other ones, but not, not vintage fat.
It's Ibanez fat.
Yeah,
as opposed to
it sort of feels front
fat.
to back quite. I think the big difference is not so much the overall front to back thickness. It feels like there's a bit more on the shoulders here, just a little bit fatter. We obviously got choice of finishes and stuff like that. And then we've got the Infinity pickups, so same pickups regardless of whether you buy the
and these
gloss or
used to be on the standard RGs. It's the kind of thing that back, I remember, I would say early 2000s would be on the standard RGs, the Infinity pickups.
Mine have got the pickup rings. These are mounted to the scratch plate, so same kind of idea. Then we've got the locking trem system, and that's kind of the extent that it goes into. What is it made of? Basswood bodies. You've got a Purple Heart fretboard. We've both got Purple Heart fretboards, and obviously the shark tooth inlays, but you've got the black shark tooth inlays, which really adds to that sort of stealthy look on that guitar.
Yeah, it's perfect for sort of country and jazz.
Yes, so you can do assume that these will all sound the same, and then you've got a colour option on this of a slightly more bluey flamed top as well. But give us these, just take us through. So what have we got, a 5-way or a 3? So it's still a 5-way blade.
5-way, yeah.
So
this is what I mean.
Lots of tones.
But yeah, if you upgraded maybe upgraded the pickups, some aftermarket ones, you could even upgrade the trem if you wanted to. But you've got a basswood body, maple neck, Purple Heart fretboard. You've got an absolute beast of a machine. I'll keep it in the heavier territory.
Yeah, do it, yeah.
Let's have a thing where we can play. Nothing.
But just fatten it up a little bit, because we had some sort of extra juice on, didn't we? Yes. These are great. Now, my only word of warning, I suppose, on these guitars, it's really not a criticism, it is just a word of warning. I think when you get guitars down in this kind of price bracket, there will be beginners going, ooh, that's what I can afford that. I'm going to learn on that. I've always wanted a guitar that looks like that.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to accept that this kind of trem system is substantially more complicated to restring than a traditional, almost like a Strat style trem system like this.
I think the difference is, on a trem system like that, or you know, completely hardtail, you can take all the strings off.
Yeah.
You know, get your polish out, do the whole thing, put the strings back on. The best tip you can have with a decently set up floating trem is just to change them individually, one at a time, and the tension should be the same. You'll lose a bit because you need to stretch them out.
Again, you know, you've got. So I think if you're a beginner guitar player, and your preference is to go, I'm just going to do a bit of drop D.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to do, and I'm changing my strength. Oh, maybe I'll try 10s this time instead of 9s. I just want to see what that whole journey is like. The way in which this trem system floats is so dependent on, you know, if you're in standard tuning with 9 to 42 strings, it's set a certain way. The minute you change that, you drop tune something, or you
change the tension of the strings.
You've really got to understand the mechanics of this style of trem system. So that would be my only.
It's valid.
What were the prices on these?
389, 399.
Yeah. Okay. So they're sort of sub 400 quid. So it feels to me, I think I would feel more comfortable recommending this as right. You've got your basic chops down on your £150 starter guitar, and maybe you've been doing that for a year, you've been on YouTube, you've sussed out how this type of trem system works, and you're going, right, that's for me next.
Yes.
I'm not 1,000,000% sure that if you came in and you went, right, I don't know how to play guitar, what should I buy? I suspect if you walked out with one of these, you would be forever going, I can't keep the blooming thing in tune. And that will be all down to pilot error rather than any problem with the guitar.
Yeah,
but I think these are fab, really fab.
I would honestly, I would have lost my mind if I was 13, 14 and Santa Claus.
I'd be losing my mind substantially older than that. You know, I could have been probably, you know, even older than the 32 years that I already am, and still losing my mind over something like that. All right, well, look, speaking of being old farts, shall we have a look at the old fart guitars range? Yes. I gone super clean, you gone super gainy. I like it. What a combination. Okay, so I'm loving the AZ range from AZ. I'm not doing it.
They'll say it. Everybody says AZ.
I know it doesn't sound as cool, AZ, but I'm staying with my roots. It is the correct pronunciation.
Do the roots for both of us. Okay. I'll stay on brand.
So I just love the AZ range because it feels like everybody who plays the guitar will respect the fact that Ibanez make a beautiful quality guitar.
Yeah.
But clearly they're sort of, you know, if you weren't a bit of a shreddy rocker type thing, maybe they didn't have a guitar for you outside of the jazzier stuff, I would say.
Yeah.
And AZ just so ticks that box. It's contemporary enough for me to feel like I haven't just bought a Strat ripoff, but it's not, you know, it's not so modern and, you know, covered in things that, you know, might create an expectation that all of a sudden I'm going to be doing this.
Sure.
Although, in fairness, a lot of the AZ users are shredding like mothers, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about the AZs were and are, a lot of the players, some of the players you were talking about, were using RGs because they are great workhorses. You take a 550, they were the workhorse. You can play anything on them. But there was just this.
The aesthetic,
the vibe wasn't right for them. Some of the appointments, maybe, you know, I love DiMarzio pickups, I really do. But maybe there was a change that needed to happen, and the appointments, you know,
you're
different
so
to the trend.
not wrong. I remember seeing guitar players in, you know, kind of essentially blues rock bands with like a yellow gem.
Yeah.
And it just looked wrong You know, like, or a
Yeah.
yellow RG550 or something like that with the sort of pyramid inlays.
It's what you said. People expect a certain thing from that guitar.
Whereas I
don't
think if I see a guitar player with a guitar like that or this kind of thing, I have an expectation of a different vibe of music.
There's a genericism to it, in as much as you can go out and rock on them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look weird.
So let's tell you about these. And we are in the home straight now, ladies and gentlemen. So you will soon be able to go and do something more productive with your day than watch Anderton's videos. So we have 4 AZ models, and actually a couple of other models that we didn't bring today, which are the new, by the looks of things, new colours in the hyper affordable AZES range. So they're on screen now, but we don't have those. So yours is the first one on the sheet. So that's an AZ24P1QM. Of course. So
regular viewers will know.
Have you memorised the spec, or would you like me to read it out to you?
Regular viewers will know. We've spoken about AZs on this channel quite a lot because we've had Tom and Martin here talking about them. These premium level AZs all have the same appointments. So these are Seymour Duncan Hyperion pickups. You've got the
is Hyperion an exclusive Seymour Duncan thing for Ibanez?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I've not seen them creep into any other brands.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've seen Hyperion available as anything other than
within
on Ibanez.
These. So you've got, on this case, because it's a humbucker single coil, a Dynamics 9, because of 9 positions, Goto MGT locking tuners. You've got the roasted maple neck, not the S-Tech roasted maple neck, because that's on the Prestige ones. That's where you add they've added nitrogen into the roasting process to take out even more moisture. These are just a really nice roasted maple neck. Stainless steel frets, stainless steel appointments on the bridge, basswood body. This one's got a quilted maple top, I think it's quilted maple.
It is indeed.
And that's it. Really lovely finish on this, actually.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like the way the black scratch plate kind of picks up the darker edge of the burst.
It's a classy looking guitar.
It's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Because that is, strictly speaking, a maple fretboard. But of course, because it's roasted maple, you sort of begin to get this idea of like, so what is that? Is that a very light piece of rosewood or something like that?
And they do, because they've been roasted over time. I mean, I think I was here with my prototype, just randomly maybe doing a Laney video, and the back of that neck has gone so dark.
Has it?
Yeah, it's really darkened off. And then you've got this extra cutaway, if you like. All access, super all access.
I really like the heel joint on the AZ.
They're super comfortable to play.
Yeah.
The design of the necks themselves, in terms of the radius, is meant that you can get some. It feels comfortable playing nice jazz chords, for want of a better term, down here, but it sort of flattens out as you get to the dusty end to be able to do what a lot of those guys do.
All of these 6-string AZs that we've got here are sitting in that sort of 13 to 1400 pound sort of bracket. All coming with gig bags, so I think, if you're thinking about where does that fit in, it's less than what you could buy a straight up standard American Strat for. If you want to go into some of the more contemporary American Strats, so whether you're looking at, I don't know, Fender Ultra, or you might have looked at a Sur or something like that, these are coming in probably £1,000 less than those. And they're, again, everyone will have their own preference, but they don't feel dissimilar to the sort of feel that you would get if you spent £1,000 more on like an American equivalent. Yeah. Give us some tones. I mean, we've got, by the looks of things, so you've got an HSS model there, you've got an HSH model behind you.
That's right. And this is a slightly different beast, but we'll have a look at that. Just so that people can see what I'm doing. This is with the dynamics off. So you're just listening to
a very traditional five-way
on this, So when you flick through these pickups, they're so different, that they make you play differently every single time. So I'm like, pick a bloody genre.
Yeah. I suppose that's where the
go through.
dynamics thing comes in, because I guess AZ is your Swiss Army knife guitar, isn't it? It's like going, whatever aesthetic in your mind you come up with, that's one thing. As a tool to play guitar, you could do anything from, you know, jazz, fusion, country, through to death. Well, I suppose, you know, maybe not super drop tune stuff, but it'll do a real wide variety of tones.
Yeah.
I tell you what, you know, I don't want to do any of these guitars a disservice. So take us through the HSH one now, and then do the two humbucker one. You mentioned also the HSH one was maybe a slight departure from the very traditional AZ specs.
And you know, as much as I love the original appointments on the AZ and AZ range, you know, the pickup configurations, all of that, the switching, this is just taking it back to what is classically Ibanez, but with the AZ vibe. So you've got no dynamic switching here, 5-way selector, typical classic appointments of Tone Zone, Air Norton, True Velvet, 24 frets, but everything else, this being a premium, is all the spec I just said. So basswood
the
body,
gold hardware on that colour works
roasted
so
maple
well.
neck. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just kind of there's a
24 frets. Did you say that?
Yeah. So
I
all of the
if you did.
Yeah, 24 frets on the humbucker single coil humbuckers and double humbuckers. So that's 24. And on an HSS it'll be 22.
Yeah.
But this is just a great rock machine. And if I walked in fact, that's exactly what happened today.
That's the one you gravitate towards.
Yeah, Luke had sort of set them up as I turned up slightly late, and went, "Oh, that's the one I was going to pick up to warm my fingers up after the Christmas break." So, you know, it's just a lot of fun.
I'm such a fan of that Goto trem system as well, because it feels like you've got...
It spans a bit of a bridge, doesn't it?
You've got the sort of slightly recessed way it's mounted, so you've got a bit of that Floyd Rosey kind of, but without necessarily the
tuning stability.
I just think it's a super, super guitar. I'm genuinely, that is... Yeah, and actually this, I'm not sure necessarily if I would naturally lean towards an HH guitar. I think I probably would always have HSS or HSH. But actually, visually, I love the colour of this with the two chrome.
It's been nicely
pickups.
laid out, hasn't it?
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you want to give us a quick swirl on this one, and then we're basically done? That reaction from the amp to just the slight turn down of the volume there is such a sign of a good pickup, I think.
Totally.
Because it really didn't lose anything other than the gain that you wanted to take away.
Yeah.
It just sounds great.
Need to go around the cycle now for closure.
brilliant. You know what? And we've left him out. We've avoided the 7-string, probably intentionally.
Yeah.
So there is your last one. That is also part of this AZ series. So again, same pickups other than their 7-string versions as you've got on these other AZ models. And again, beautiful looking guitar. If 7 strings is your thing, has there been a 7-string AZ
There has
before?
there have been a couple of prestige versions. There was a black one. There was a sunburst one, transfade burst, I think it was called, or something like that. And then there's been another premium that came out last year, I think.
Yeah.
So this is another finish for that particular guitar.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Good luck in 2024.
You too.
If you've got any questions about any of these guitars, pop them below. I'm sure one of us will answer. I know Lee loves getting on the old, YouTube keyboard warrior thing. But yeah, they should all be in stock at Andertons, I'm sure, at some point soon. So again, links for those will be below. But yeah, check them out. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
It's good to see you. Yes, indeed. We've got to stop saying that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, when did this come out? August.
See you later. Thanks for watching.
See you.